Hello everyone, and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Luna was not one to sit quietly for long. She was restless, always had been, her mind a whirlpool of ideas and emotions. Finn had dubbed it her spark, the quality that made her both magnetic and irritating. However, that flame had recently dulled, suffocated by their rising tensions. Finn, with his steady gaze and quiet power, had served as her anchor. Even anchors can feel like shackles when the world is too weighty. Finn sat in his office, a small, cramped area above a bookstore that smelled like old paper and coffee. His desk was cluttered with manuscripts and sticky notes, and his laptop glowed dimly in the dark light. He hadn't slept well since Luna departed. Her absence was a bruise, sore and ongoing. He had always admired her fire, her refusal to be tamed, but it had also driven her away. He replayed their battle in his head, her harsh words, his own rage pouring over. He described her as irresponsible, even selfish, and the look in her eyes, betrayal, raw and unfiltered, haunted him. Finn's workplace was his safe haven, where he could immerse himself in words and create stories that made sense of the chaos in his heart. But tonight, the words would not come. He leaned back in his chair, ran a hand through his dark hair, and looked up at the ceiling. He worried where Luna was, if she was safe, and if she despised him. Meanwhile, Lee remained in the shadows of a short alley, his breath evident in the cold night air. His leather jacket was soaked with rain, and his jaw was clenched in rage. Lee lacked patience. He preferred sharp edges and quick decisions. Bill, his former friend and rival, had crossed a line. It was no longer simply about money or territory. It was personal. Bill had always been ambitious, and his attractiveness concealed a ruthlessness that Lee had once admired but now detested. Their partnership, which was founded on late-night deals and shared secrets, had crumbled under the weight of betrayal. Lee didn't know the complete story behind Bill's latest maneuver, but he knew it implicated Luna, which was enough to make his fury boil. Luna, oblivious of the building conflict between Lee and Bill, felt Finn's absence like a wave sucking her beneath. She couldn't stay in her apartment any longer, surrounded by reminders of him. A half-read book on her coffee table, a scarf draped over her chair. She grabbed her coat, her boots splashing through puddles as she walked to Finn's office. She had no idea what she would say when she met him, but she needed to know whether there was anything left to salvage. When Luna arrived, the bookstore was dark, but a faint light shone from the window above. She climbed the small steps, her heart racing, and pushed the office door open without knocking. Finn looked up, surprised, and his pen froze mid-sentence. For a minute, they simply stared at each other, the air dense with unspoken words. Luna's hair was damp and clung to her face, and her eyes were wide, searching for something. Forgiveness, understanding, or perhaps both. "Luna," Finn began, his voice raspy, as if he had not spoken in hours. He stood, his chair scratching against the floor, but did not move closer. "What are you doing here?" "I didn't know where else to go," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I messed up, Finn. I shouldn't have left." Finn's expression softened, but there was a guardedness there, a wall he had never had before. "You disappeared, Luna. No call, no text." "I thought," he paused, swallowing hard. "I thought you were done with me." Luna's throat clenched. She wanted to tell him she wasn't trying to hurt him, that she was terrified, and that she didn't know how to love someone without breaking them. However, the words remained knotted in her chest. Instead, she moved closer, her boots leaving wet prints on the floor. "I'm here now," she explained, her voice breaking. "Isn't that sufficient?" Finn did not respond right away. He looked at her, really looked, and saw tiredness in her eyes, as well as the weight she carried. He wanted to reach for her, hold her close, and pretend the previous 3 days had not occurred. But he could not. Not yet. Before he could respond, the door flew open again, and Lee stormed in, his face a mask of rage. "Luna, you need to get out of here," he whispered urgently. Finn's brows furrowed. Bill's coming, and he's not playing games. Bill? What the hell is going on, Lee? Luna turned to Lee, her brow furrowed with confusion. What are you talking about? Why is Bill after me? Lee did not have time to explain. He grabbed Luna's arm and dragged her to the door, but she yanked free. Speak to me, Lee, she snapped. What have you done? It's not what I did, Lee replied, his voice tight. It's what Bill believes you understand. Finn went between them, his hands outstretched. Someone better start making sense, he said, his voice steady, but tinged with anger. Luna, what is he talking about? Luna shook her head, her thoughts whirling. She hadn't spoken to Bill in weeks, not since she overheard him discussing a deal that seemed shadier than normal. She hadn't given it much attention at the time, but now it was clear. Bill thought she knew too much. And Lee, embroiled in his own battle with Bill, had dragged her into the fray. I didn't ask for this, Luna explained, her voice shaking. I didn't ask for any of this. Finn's expression softened, but before he could reply, heavy footsteps boomed up the stairs. Bill arrived at the doorway, his large bulk filling the space. His smile was frigid, calculating, and did not reach his eyes. Isn't this cozy? He replied, his voice as smooth as ice. Luna, you've been a hard girl to find. Lee took a step closer, his hands clenched. Back off, Bill. This does not have to turn ugly. Bill's laugh was piercing and biting. Oh, Lee, this is already ugly. Do you believe you can defend her? Finn stepped closer to Luna, his body tense and ready to act. Whatever this is, it ends now, he remarked, his voice low but firm. Leave her out of it. Bill's gaze shifted to Finn. You're out of your element, Ryder boy. This is bigger than you. Luna could feel the room closing in on her, the weight of their words pressing against her chest. She'd always been the one to flee when things became too heavy. But now, with Finn by her side, Lee ready to fight, and Bill's threat looming, fleeing was not an option. She had to confront this, whatever this was. The rain outside grew louder, a constant hammering on the windows. Luna's mind raced, pulling together parts of talks she'd previously discarded as insignificant. Bill's deal, Lee's rage, Finn's pain, they were all linked, like threads in a tapestry she hadn't seen until now. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her. Bill, I don't know what you think I have on you, but you're wrong, she told me. I don't want any part of your conflict with Lee. Leave us alone. Bill's smile faded as his eyes narrowed. You can't walk away, Luna. Not this time. The tension in the room broke like a stretched wire. Lee lunged for Bill, and the two men collided, exchanging fists and curses. Finn grabbed Luna and yanked her back as the brawl erupted across the office, knocking down books and papers. Luna's heart hammered, her gaze flitting between the turmoil and Finn's solid presence next to her. Finn, we need to go, she replied urgently. Bill nodded, his fingers tight around hers, but before they could proceed, he pushed Lee against the wall, his gaze fixed on Luna. You're not going anywhere, he snarled. Finn stood in front of her, his voice composed but firm. You touch her and you'll regret it. Everything came to a halt for a time. Bill's gaze wavered, as he considered his choices. Lee, panting, pulled himself off the wall and prepared to dive back in. Luna felt the world shift, the weight of her decisions and failures coming tumbling down. She'd fled Finn, fallen into Lee's conflict with Bill, and now they were all locked in this moment, teetering on the brink of something permanent. The rain continued to fall, oblivious to the horror unfolding inside. Luna gripped to Finn's hand, her heart bleeding with a truth she couldn't express. She loved him, but love couldn't cure this.
Not yet.
Perhaps not ever. As the combat resumed, Luna made a decision. She drew Finn toward the door, her voice scarcely heard amid the chaos. We are leaving.
Now.
They stumbled down the stairs, the sounds of Lee and Bill's struggle receding behind them. The rain soaked them as they went outside, and the chills stabbed into Luna's skin. Finn refused to let go of her hand as they ran, their breaths clouding in the night air. They didn't stop until they got to the edge of the city, when the lights faded into the horizon. Luna's chest heaved, and her body trembled for more than just the chill. Finn turned to her, his face shadowed but his eyes clear, looking into hers. "Why did you return?" he inquired, his voice soft but heavy with everything unspoken. Luna swallowed, the words she'd been holding back suddenly coming out. "Because I am tired of running, Finn. I'm tired of losing you." He didn't immediately respond, but his grip on her hand tightened. Luna felt a glimmer of optimism for the first time in days when the rain subsided into a drizzle. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep her standing behind him while the world continued to whirl. Back in the office, Lee and Bill's fight had ended in a stalemate, leaving both men battered and breathless. The fight between them was far from over. It would never end until one of them broke. But Luna and Finn had vanished, their tracks swept away by the storm, their story incomplete, but still alive. The city slept, unconscious of the broken and healed hearts in its shadows. Luna and Finn moved on, their future uncertain, but their hands still clasped. And somewhere, in the quiet spaces between the raindrops, they found their way back together. Luna had disappeared without a trace. For weeks, murmurs echoed through the hallways of the Orion Corporation, the city's leading technology conglomerate. People claimed she vanished into the night, leaving only a coded message on the security grid that even Finn, the company's reclusive genius, couldn't decipher. No one knew if she had escaped or been apprehended. But Luna knew. She had fled because staying would have made her a pawn in Lee and Bill's quiet, burning war. The city lights blurred past her as she accelerated on the stolen bike, the engine growling beneath her as if sharing her rage. The breeze bit her cheeks, but she didn't mind. She'd been gone long enough, hiding in the shadows of industrial zones, tracing signals, bypassing firewalls, and learning truths that contradicted all she thought she knew about the three men who had shaped her fate. Finn, her tutor; Lee, the strategist who viewed the world as a chessboard; and Bill, the vicious opponent who destroyed all he didn't own. Now she was returning. Her heart beat quicker than the bike. She recognized Finn's office, high up in the glass tower, walled like a fortress. But she also knew the old code, which Finn had created for her years ago. Nobody else was aware of the existence of this back door. If it still functioned, she'd get to him. If not, she would make a noise. The city center loomed ahead, the Orion Tower cutting through the midnight sky like a blade. Rain began to fall, transforming the streets into mirrors. Luna's reflection in the puddles revealed wet hair, determined eyes, and a tired and defiant expression. She was no longer the girl who had fled. She was the storm, returning to claim her answers. Alarms sounded as she crashed through the lower entrance, smashing the glass door with the bike's front wheel. Security drones illuminated the hallway in red. But Luna moved faster. She scooted away, avoiding the electric taser bolts that snapped through the air. She rolled, ducked behind a pillar, and through a flash cube she'd built while hiding. The corridor was filled with bright white light and static. The drones disintegrated with a metallic hiss. Her boots splashed on the gleaming floor as she dashed towards the elevator. She knew the codes were still in her head and entered them faster than she could think. The elevator door slid open. As she ascended, she felt the world shift beneath her. Part fear, part adrenaline, part memory. Every floor she passed served as a reminder of the past. The lab where she and Finn spent the night testing energy cores. The server room where Lee had previously stood with her was chilly and unreadable, explaining that trust was only a means of control. And Bill, the man who began it all, who sought Finn's study and used her disappearance to set off the conflict. The elevator halted. Finn's office was on the top floor, accessible by a sliding door. It was quiet.
Too quiet.
The room was large and gloomy, with one-way glass walls that overlooked the shimmering metropolis. The hum of servers filled the silence, while blue holographic screens hang in midair like ghosts. A figure stood in the center, back turned and head slightly lowered, near the window. Luna froze.
Finn.
The man turned slowly. The light touched his face, older, sharper, and unmistakable. His eyes widened, and the frigid serenity that typically surrounded him vanished. Luna! The word came out like he didn't believe it, as if she were a delusion caused by remorse. "You're alive," he whispered. She took a hesitant step forward. "You didn't think I would be?" "I thought," he paused, glancing aside. "I thought Lee had gotten to you. Or Bill." "Both tried," she admitted angrily. "But I'm not easy to erase." The stillness between them became thicker, filled with memories they didn't want to confront. Finn's hands trembled slightly, but his voice remained calm. "Why come back now? The world believes you vanished. I needed to see you," she added, "before everything burns." His brow furrows. "Burns?" She moved closer, her boots echoing on the marble. "Lee and Bill. The war has started, Finn. They have turned your inventions into weapons. You believe your systems are neutral based on data cores and prototypes? They are not. They're taking sides." Finn stiffened. "That is not feasible. The cores are locked." "Not anymore." She reached into her jacket and took out a disk. "Bill broke one. Lee is attempting to counterhack him." Finn appeared visibly startled for a brief moment. He drove with shaky fingers. "Do you have proof?" Luna nodded. "Everything is on that." Finn's expression stiffened as he mentioned Lee's network, Bill's communications, and their confidential bargain with the council. "So you disappeared to collect this?" She nodded. "And because I didn't know who to trust." Finn looked away, peering out at the rain-streaked sky. "You should have trusted me." "Should I?" she inquired, her tone mild yet harsh. "Because the last time I did this, you allowed Lee to exploit my research to bait Bill. You informed me that it was a test." "It wasn't." Finn flinched. "That wasn't my choice." "So, who is it?" "Lee's." The name fell between them like a dagger. Luna's eyes narrowed. Lee made a move. Bill is already retaliating. He's focusing on the lower labs tonight. They'll both destroy each other and everyone in between. Finn turned around, his eyes blazing with sudden clarity. "Then we stop them." "Do you believe they will listen to reason?" she asked. "No," he replied. "But they'll listen to consequences." Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Lee watched the storm from his high-rise office, hands clasped behind his back. The air shimmered faintly. His private projection stream showed Bill's most recent maneuvers, every data spike and stolen file. Bill was impatient and reckless. This made him dangerous. But Lee was not reckless. He was exact. A voice arrived from his earpiece. "Sir, we have confirmed Luna's signal. She's back in the Orion Tower." Lee's countenance remained constant, but his pulse did. "With Finn?" "Yes, sir." "Then the equation changes," Lee said quietly. He turned away from the window, his eyes narrowing. "Deploy the silent interceptors. I want her contained before Bill finds out." Bill, across the river, slapped his fist against the console as his network feeds flared with interference. "Is she alive?" he snarled. His assistant nodded hesitantly. "Confirmed." "Luna is in the tower," Bill said, his lips curving into a grin and grimace. "Perfect. Let Lee come for her. Let him believe he still has control. I'll burn both of their empires before daybreak." He went for the communication switch. "Mobilize Unit 7. We'll get to the tower in 15. Back at the top of Orion Tower, Finn returned to his console, fingers flying across the holographic screens. "I can lock the core system down from here, but I'll need access to Lee's relay first." "I already have it," Luna told him. "Remote access key. I built it while I was gone." Finn paused and looked at her. "You've changed." "So have you." Their gazes met, and something unsaid flared there. Guilt, grief, perhaps something more. Finn exhaled. "After you left, everything fell apart. Lee took control of the operations. Bill went rogue. I tried to keep the company together, but it's not the same without you." "I didn't leave to hurt you," Luna explained quietly. "I left because I saw what you couldn't, how both of them were twisting your vision. Now I'm come to end it." The alarms interrupted their statements with a deep, throbbing sound that shook the floor. The lights flickered red. Finn's console flashed. Breach at the west entrance. Multiple hostiles. Bill's soldiers, Luna replied promptly. Finn clenched his jaw. He's here. And Lee won't be far behind. He turned to face her. You need to go. Not happening. Luna. She drew closer, rage in her eyes. Do you think I came back this far to flee again? The look in her eyes caused him to halt. She was no longer the assistant he had previously protected. She was a survivor, sharper than ever.
Fine, he replied, nodding.
Then we'll finish this together. Gunfire echoed from below. The building trembled. Security systems went berserk as Bill's mercenaries and Lee's interceptors clashed on the lower levels. Drones swarmed the stairwells, sending blue sparks into the darkness like lightning. Finn and Luna worked quickly. She rerouted the tower's internal grid, and Finn started the self-locking process. Holograms flashed around them, mapping each interloper. Suddenly, the glass wall behind them broke. An EMP blast sent a drone spiraling inside. Luna ducked as the shards rained down. Bill stepped in through the smoke, tall and broad-shouldered, his face partially illuminated by the burning sky outside. Luna, he whispered, his voice soft yet deadly. You do have a talent for making entrances. She raised her rifle. You shouldn't have come. Oh, I think I should have come sooner, responded the gentleman. His gaze shifted towards Finn. And you're still defending her? How noble. How stupid, Finn glared. Bill laughed. You're trespassing. Do you suppose this tower still belongs to you? Leah's already claimed half of it. I'll take the rest tonight. Not if I turn it off first, Luna said. Bill's eyes blazed. You wouldn't. Try me. Before anyone could react, the elevator chimed again. The door slid open, revealing Lee, calm and poised in his dark coat, surrounded by silent guards. For a brief period, time appeared to stand still. Lee's gaze swept the room, taking in Luna, Finn, and Bill before settling on the shattered window. So this is how it ends, he added sadly.